This is a truly historic day, and I'm going to speak to the leadership that's been demonstrated by those behind me. But I want to begin. As many conversations here do, by talking about the weather. I want to talk about the weather. After all, the provincial anthem, an ode to Newfoundland, celebrates the weather. When blinding storm gusts fret thy shore, and wild waves lash thy strand, through spendthrift, swirl, and tempest roar, we love thee, windswept land. Now, there's a message in that, and the message is demonstrated today. Newfoundlanders and Labradorians don't just endure the tempest's roar, they embrace it. They don't submit to the weather, they thrive in it. And today is about much more than embracing or thriving. Today, you see three governments, you see four peoples coming together to make the weather. Okay. And making the weather, making the weather means not being hostage to fate, not waiting to see which way the wind is blowing and end up being storm-tossed by events. Making the weather means building the future that we want. It means being masters in our own home. Mais chez nous. Ces mots de Jean Lesage sont porteurs d'une vision qui a inspiré les Québécoises et les Québécois à prendre leur train de leur avenir. Quelques années plus tard, au lancement du projet de la baie James, Robert Bourassa a déclaré ceci. Il ne sera pas dit que nous vivons pauvrement sur une terre aussi riche. Les Québécoises et les Québécois ont entendu cet appel. Ils ont bâti et ils se sont donné les clés de leur prospérité. Ils ont bâti la baie James. Ils ont construit des lignes de transport d'électricité sur des distances qui paraissaient autrefois impossibles. Hydro-Québec est devenu une référence mondiale en électricité et a formé des générations d'ingénieurs et de travailleurs dont le savoir-faire est reconnu dans le monde entier. Les Québécoises et les Québécois ne sont pas contentés de subir de leur destin. Ils ont bâti leur avenir. Le Québec sait comment prendre les choses en main. Et encore une fois, des possibilités extraordinaires s'offrent à lui. Encore une fois, notre ambition doit être à sa hauteur. Et c'est à notre tour de démontrer cette même ambition et ce même courage de bâtir un Canada plus fort pour tous. We have much to learn from this history. Canada has built big before. The ambitions of James Bay and the original Churchill Falls, those ambitions were dizzying. The technical challenges were immense, the scales unprecedented. And today, we're coming together determined to build on that greatness, to develop the biggest clean energy initiative in North American history. To power tomorrow's economy, to strengthen Canada's place in the world, to give ourselves more than any other nation can take away. Because when we work together, there is nothing that Canada cannot do. And as both my colleagues here today alluded to, we're living in a time of great disruption. Every Canadian is feeling the economic impacts at the kitchen table, at the pumps, on the factory floors. And we're all experiencing the changing climate, the smoke that's blanketing our nation, the flames that are threatening our homes, the extreme weather, quote, extreme weather that's becoming all too common while reshaping livelihoods. Canadians won't simply endure these challenges. We will meet them with determined action. We're starting from a position of strength because Canada has what the world wants: the natural resources, the critical minerals, the clean power that will build this century. We have the workers like Premier Frichette's father, who will bring this vision to life, just as he did. The leaders behind me, the leaders in front of me, who understand what's possible when we build together. And we have another thing. We have trust, the most valuable commodity in an increasingly volatile and unreliable world. We have everything we need to build the future that we want and that our children deserve. We have everything to do to make the weather. So we're gathered here today, as you know, to announce this historic deal. The Premier of Newfoundland and Labrador, the Premier of Quebec, the leaders of Hydro-Quebec and Newfoundland and Labrador Hydro, in full partnership with the newly elected Grand Chief of the Innu Nation of Labrador, Jody Hashini. Congratulations again. As part of this agreement, the federal government will guarantee the financing for the massive Gull Island Power Project as part of a new Atlantic energy strategy under the Major Projects Office. As part of this agreement, we will co-invest alongside the Innu Nation in the enormous Labrador onshore wind project. And as part of this agreement, the Government of Canada will help finance the new transmission lines that will link this clean energy to users in Labrador, in Quebec, because yes, we love these windswept lands. The largest clean energy investment in North American history. Let's just put this in context. Tripling the current generation capacity of Churchill Falls to that 14,000 megawatts of renewable power. That's more than the entire generating capacity of BC Hydro. It's more than double the output of Bruce Power, the largest nuclear plant on this continent. It is the equivalent of 18 Hoover dams in America at their current capacity. Enough power to light, heat, cool the homes in Toronto, Montreal, and Vancouver combined. To provide the power we need to run the mines, the mills, the factory floors where Canadians will build their future. This is nation-building investment on the scale of the Trans-Canada Highway and the St. Lawrence Seaway. En termes d'envergure, c'est la prochaine Bay James. Depuis 50 ans, ce projet est une référence et montre ce que le Canada peut faire quand il décide de bâtir en grand. Oui, nous recommençons à bâtir. Au cours de l'accord d'aujourd'hui, il y a un nouveau partenariat plus ambitieux entre Terre-Neuve et Labrador et le Québec pour développer Gull Island, le site hydroélectrique le plus attrayant en Amérique du Nord et presque dans le monde. Un projet qui est resté sur les tablettes beaucoup trop longtemps. Il sera réalisé par Hydro-Québec, par les ingénieurs et par les travailleurs qui font du Québec un chef de file mondial dans le domaine de l'électricité. This is true. No. It's only possible because of that expertise. These are massive new sources of power, combined with state-of-the-art transmission networks between Churchill Falls, Gull Island, Labrador, and Quebec that will heat, light, and cool our communities and power our growing economies. Now, let me turn to that last point. To unlock the potential of the Labrador Trough, which contains some of the highest grade iron ore and graphite deposits in the planet. To that end, the Government of Canada is announcing today that we're referring the Labrador Trough to the Major Projects Office. So what we have together is Canada's most significant opportunity to connect clean electricity, mining development, transportation infrastructure, processing capacity, export networks into a single integrated economic corridor. Through the First and Last Mile Fund, Canada will help finance several major strategic projects right out of the gate in the Labrador Trough, including the Labrador West Transmission Expansion Study to connect critical minerals mining operations in Western Labrador to this new electricity grid. Yeah. We'll support focused graphite mining projects, which will help supply the battery and energy storage technologies this country's and our allies need. We'll support the Kami mine, which will provide Canadian iron ore to global steel supply chains, just as the world is looking for new suppliers that it can trust. And as well, SFP's Point Nord project to expand critical minerals handling capacity and all the related rail infrastructure. So clean power to run sustainable modern mines, transmission lines to bring power to where it's needed, ports to move graphite and iron ore to market. Each investment unlocks the others, underscoring the value of all moving together. The projects launched today represent a total financial commitment of the partners of approximately $70 billion, the largest single investment in Canada's history. Les projets que nous annonçons aujourd'hui vont créer plus de 23 000 emplois bien rémunérés pour les travailleurs canadiens, rien que pendant la phase de construction. En génie, dans les métiers spécialisés, pour les soudeurs, les machinistes et les techniciens. Ces projets contribueront au PIB du Canada à hauteur de 31 milliards de dollars d'ici le début des années 2040. Des projets qui vont bâtir un Canada plus fort, plus résilient et plus durable. Des projets qui vont permettre aux Canadiennes et aux Canadiens d'être maîtres de leur avenir. We're living through the consequences of a world that collectively hasn't taken climate change seriously enough. Canada will do our part, not with promises and pronouncements, but with bold actions and major investment. Le meilleur moyen, et de loin, de réduire les émissions à moins coût, c'est d'électrifier nos industries, nos transports et nos bâtiments. Une politique d'électrification ambitieuse pour réduire les émissions jusqu'à 5 fois par rapport au total actuel des émissions liées à l'électricité. C'est pourquoi le Canada va doubler sa production d'électricité avec des sources propres pour répondre à la demande d'électricité grandissante de nos industries, pour réduire les facteurs d'énergie, pour protéger l'environnement dont nos enfants vont hériter. Today's announcement, one other context, will produce enough clean electricity to power every car, every truck, every motorcycle, every bus in Canada. And it's one of a series of initiatives that the Government of Canada is supporting, helping Canadians electrify their homes, helping to put more zero-emission vehicles on the road, and, of course, to make clean generational investments in clean energy. And we are just getting started. Today's agreement demonstrates how we can reach new horizons together. And it exists because of the leaders of these two great provinces. It exists because of the leadership of Premier Wakeham and Premier Frechette. Their leadership, their vision, their focus on results. They sat down, they personally sat down. They had their team sit down and work through difficult issues. It exists because they shared ambitions and they could see and forge common ground. And yes, it exists because the Innu Nation of Labrador will be a true partner with a real economic stake in all of its success. And yes, it exists as well because the federal government is uniting with these partnerships, following their leadership, working together to make cooperative federalism work for a more prosperous, resilient, and sustainable Canada. And I want to take this moment on this historic day to encourage all leaders to learn from this example, to be inspired by this vision, execution, and focus, inspired by the example of these two premiers, to choose collaboration, to choose to lower barriers, to choose to build one strong, united Canadian economy that works for all Canadians. Maîtriser l'énergie, c'est maîtriser notre destin. Nous renforçons notre leadership en matière d'électricité propre, fiable et abordable produite chez nous, au Canada. Building big, building fast, building in partnership. This is how we will make the weather. This is how we will meet tomorrow's challenges. Building clean, building resilient. That's how we will help address a changing climate. This is Canada resilient. This is Canada sustainable. This is Canada strong. Thank you all very much.